Welcome to another broadcast of the Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Thursday mornings at 9:30 at the Lorain County Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and as always, you are invited to attend.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Good luck.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to the January 31st meeting of the Lorain County Board of Commissioners. Today is Carol Channing's birthday, and this statement is attributed to her. You've got to listen to me. Do your dog.
Come here, come here.
Looks like you're taking dog's taking you for a walk.
Want a treat?
You're just so enthusiastic.
Come here. Sit down. Good boy.
It's Bo.
Our featured pet this week is a 1 to 2 year old male lab mix. He was found off of Hamilton Avenue in Lorain. He's got a great personality. Come here and look. Let him see you. Oh, you're gonna look at me, huh? Come on, turn around. Come on, turn around. Sit. Good boy. There you go. Stop by our kennel. This dog's available for adoption on Saturday at 3 o'clock. Great pet, very friendly. So stop by and get a new pet today.
Is it okay
Maybe the
now
dog
if
will leave
I...
another treat for the dog warden. I guess he left a little treat in the office this morning.
In Jake's office.
Well, better there than here.
Yeah.
Is it all right now if I give my little thought for the day, which I thought was very good?
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
And it's a lighter
Sorry,
one.
I missed it.
You didn't miss it. I'm waiting for your attention. I'm going to repeat. Today is Carol Channing's birthday, and she says, laughter is much more important than applause. Applause is almost a duty. Laughter is a reward.
Very
That
nice.
is good.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Under Resolutions Number 1, Job and Family Services Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr.
It's
Kayla.
all right.
Aye.
Don't let it happen again, aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Appropriations.
The moral of the story up here is if you don't move fast enough, Ted just jumps right in. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
There's no advances, no repayments, requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair.
Yes. Oh, hold on one second. I want to call your attention to item number 336.08. Here we have another $28,172 being spent on outside attorney fees for the CRA. According to the invoice, this was for the month of December only. Oh, you have to recluse yourself.
Yes,
There was a total of 149 hours and .75 in December, which is like 37 hours per week handling this case. I didn't think attorneys spent that many hours on one client. Our prosecutor's office is working on the same side of this case, which does not cost the county any money. I was not pleased with the resolution to pay the costs associated with this matter, and now the expenditures have well exceeded the resolution. This wasteful spending of taxpayer money has got to stop, and I refuse to pass this resolution until Mr. Stewart comes up here and addresses this board regarding this issue.
I guess then that it doesn't pass because there's only two of us that have the ability to vote on this.
Correct.
Mr. Ennis, will you relay that message to Mr. Stewart? Do you have any comments? Because you have investigated this issue for us numerous times.
So we're passing this on.
Well, we have a court order. So we're probably going to eventually have to pay it. But
The court
we'll
order was a
certainly
spec-
relay the message to Mr. Stewart.
There was a specified amount, was there not, on that court order?
Not on the court order itself.
Unfortunately, Commissioner, the court order just informed us of our duty to allow outside legal counsel. The cap that was applied was one that was imposed internally.
Right.
When we did the resolution.
kind of
I'm not being
handled it-
contrary to you at all. But my recollection of the court order was ordering us to provide outside legal counsel and representation to Mr. Stewart in this matter, but they didn't define any fiscal parameters or cost parameters within that resolution. You did apply a cap, though, a ceiling, so to
Which
speak.
they've exceeded.
It appears so, Commissioner, yes, it does.
We just paid the same attorney $22,227 on January 14th, and now we're spending another $28,000 just for the month of December.
I
When you
understand,
are
Commissioner,
fighting
but, you,
the same
the question
battle.
to me, do we have to pay it? And my response is we have a court order. This is not like the previous ones where an official came to us and said, would you get me an attorney because of a conflict with the prosecutor's office, and you voted to provide an attorney and establish the fees. This came about by direct order of the judge. It says, you will provide Mr. Stewart with an attorney.
But do we have to
Period.
give him an open checkbook as well?
Well, that's why we insisted that they at least, the previous resolution that came to us was for fees in advance before the time was expended, and we indicated that we were not going to do that, and I think that was justified. We asked that they document their time, and he has submitted a timesheet indicating that he spent that time.
Do you know of attorneys that spend close to 40 hours a week on one client?
Well, it happens occasionally.
Do we have any other recourse?
You could try to demonstrate some kind of abuse, but that's going to be
Well, that's why
Pretty
I
difficult.
said, have Mr. Stewart come in, explain, how many, months in a row are we going to be spending over $20,000? When is this going to stop?
Before you respond, Mr. Cortez, I have a question, and maybe it would be good for us at this point in time, since we are a party to this suit as well, the commissioners. We haven't had an update recently on where this stands. And so in the process of while we're discussing the legalities of this, perhaps we ought to be updated.
And
I was
that's,
thinking the same
that's
thing.
another reason why it's a bit awkward for me, because we technically are opposing counsel, so you're asking me to comment on the righteousness or whatever of an opposing counsel's fees, and I don't really think that's appropriate for me to do.
Without putting you in the middle, but it'd be interesting to know if the prosecutor's office has invested this much time and energy in the case as well. And you don't have to comment because that was a rhetorical question.
Commissioners, you certainly have a right to ask for further discussion points on the matter. Clearly, the court order does indicate to the board that they have an obligation to pay. It does not say how little or how much. And if you would like an update and you would like to discuss it further, I think it's well within your purview to ask for that update here and what they think the ongoing commitment and obligation would be, so that you could properly prepare the fiscal means necessary to meet that obligation.
I think we'd probably like to do that before we consider paying this.
Yep.
And since you've already said you're not going to pay it anyway, I guess it
Not
can't be
until I get
paid
an explanation and
until
find
there's
out
some
when.
further discussion.
Mr. Innes and I will get together and try to...
I don't think it's terribly unreasonable to ask for something so that you can plan your budget needs.
Correctly. Right.
Thank you, Jerry, and thank you, Commissioner Kokoski.
Okay, Ted, you can come back up now.
So if nothing further than that,
Pardon me?
336.08 will be
Oh.
fine at this point.
Pardon
Would you
me?
repeat that,
I
Teresa?
said, so at this point, that 336-08 will be taken off at this point.
Right.
It's on
And
hold.
everything else is passed.
Yes.
correct? Okay. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Travel expenses?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Bills?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Board of Commissioners.
Mr. Cordez?
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. I do have a few potential new hires at the Golden Acres. Seems like we have a revolving door out there, but it's the nature of the work sometimes. And I want to update you on an ongoing union matter, which is subject to negotiation, and maybe update you on a potential piece of property that we've been looking at. And I'll look in my folder and under my business. If I have any additional issues, I'll clarify the request more. So at the conclusion of our regular board meeting, I would request that we have an executive session to discuss those issues, which are allowed under the Sunshine Law.
Thank you.
Authorize payment in the amount of $2,000 to Dovin Funeral Home, Lorain, per Ohio Revised Code 5901.26 for the cost of burial of indigent veterans Gerald D. Smith and Anthony G. Vasquez.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Approve and enter in a contract with Maximus for the 2007 indirect cost allocation plan in the amount of $17,500.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Support Environmental Ohio and urge the House and Senate Bill 221 to add interim renewable energy benchmarks and penalties. This will allow Ohio to achieve at least 10% of its electricity from renewable resources with the next decade, and Ohio's clean energy future will become a reality if we act now and start investigating in real energy solutions. Powering Ohio with clean, safe, and affordable renewable energy will make Ohio more energy independent. Harnessing our wind and solar energy potential will also create more jobs, boost our economy, and reduce air pollution.
Commissioner Kalo?
So moved?
Second.
Discussion.
Yes. I don't know if anyone's been following the renewable energy, but I've been a part of this for probably a year and a half, 2 years, trying to get this legislation done. Governor Strickland is pushing it heavily. The Senate came out in October with their legislation. It's sitting in the House right now, and it's stalled. But basically what it does, the Senate bill is to put 12.5% renewable energy by 2025. The House is looking at it now. We are looking to put some benchmarks into it. I'll be in Columbus on Wednesday with Environment Ohio pushing this, and then to the state of the state from Governor Strickland. But basically, without any benchmarks or timetables or consequences to our utility companies to push this, by 2025, we'll be back at the table negotiating extensions. When Commissioner Kowski and I met with the paper last week, they actually used an analogy I gave them. Sort of reminds me of the gambling in the late 80s when we tried to pass that here, and it stalled and it stalled and it stalled, and guess what everybody else has except us nowadays, and that economic driver is basically washed out. I think the same thing with renewable energy, especially wind turbine production, because we have a world-class workforce who can build these things between our foundries and our machinists. So if we don't push this forward, I believe the other 26 states who have passed it, 25 of them with benchmarks and penalties to companies if they don't start enacting alternative energy sources. I think we're going to fall behind the wayside again. Just be more jobs out of Ohio and less chance for recovery. So thank you very much. I'll get off my soapbox.
Yeah, Ohio can't afford to miss the boat when it comes to renewable energy. This bill needs to be passed, but most important part of this piece of legislation are the benchmarks and the penalties that are included or not included in the bill right now. Lorain County, because of its wind speeds, make it an ideal location for the wind turbines. And not only does it make sense for energy conservation, but also the jobs that will be created to manufacture the turbines makes this an even more important issue to this county.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anything further? Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Authorized salary adjustment for Lorain Municipal Clerk Lori Morano, which reflects the county's 2/5 share to $1,492.08 biweekly, retroactive to January 1st, 2008.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Appoint John Pearson as Lorain County's APR inspector for the year 2008. The total annual appropriation is $3,400, appropriated in the general fund. Compensation established at a rate of $9.60 per hour with mileage reimbursement of 50.5 cents per
So
mile.
moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Rescind Resolution 0837 adopted January 24, 2008, number 10 in the appropriations in the amount of $27,745.19 to the CHIP Fund 2660.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Approve and enter in the Ohio EPA final findings and orders for the wastewater treatment plants, Brentwood Lakes, Columbia West River, Crest Haven Homes, Eaton Homes, Plum Creek, and Westview Park. Authorize county administrator to execute on behalf of the board.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Mr. Cordez?
Thank you, Commissioner. I do think that this bears a certain amount of discussion since we've been working on it for so long, and the board has been working towards correcting these outstanding issues with all the package plants currently serviced by your sanitary engineers department. As you were made aware, and Commissioner Kokoski and Commissioner Kalo came into office when this problem was ongoing, and Commissioner Blair had strongly supported resolution of some of these issues during prior administrations, but we weren't able to gain the support that was necessary to move forward. Time and time again, we failed to meet our commitments to the EPA to bring our plants within compliance, to the point where they got frustrated with us and really didn't want to work with us anymore, and they entered into the finding and orders process to fine us. I would say that about 3 years ago, we were looking at a fine of well in excess of $1 million, between $1 million and $1.5 million. That was the number that was being tallied around. I can't qualify that completely because we were in discussions with them more than under orders and findings, trying to mitigate and extenuate the extent of how much the fine was going to be to Lorain County. And at that point, when the new administration was moving forward here a few years ago, renewed emphasis was placed on coming into compliance with the support of the board, and we spent a few $1 million through the sanitary engineers department to bring our package plants into compliance. And I'm pleased to tell you that all but one, and the last one will be by March 1st, will be completely in compliance and have been updated and are providing the outflow at the level that it's supposed to be at. And I'm pleased to do that, and we're going to be able to say that, and we're going to continue to do that, monitor the performance of those plants so we do not fall into the situation again. So I appreciate the support of the board, because it was a bold move to act that quickly. While we were doing that, we were able to convince the EPA that there was a renewed leadership that was working on the problem. They were more agreeable to re-entering a discussion process and working on the fines and what we were going to do in Lorain County. Now, we've been doing this for 2 years. We kept showing them progress reports and the things we were doing and the effort that was being made. So we kept shelving the fine issue while we worked on it. I kind of think they were like dangling this little carrot out there for us, and each time we had another success, we were able to renegotiate what they thought the potential fine would be. We reached final negotiations in December, and I'm pleased to tell you that we're down now to this $250,000 level. They were pretty strongly stuck on $500,000. I got to tell you, we had to work them hard even at the $500,000. They pretty much drew the line in the sand, but we have some good people working for us. And again, you guys were doing great work here in the package plants, and we made a plea. We were trying to pay less, but we settled at $250,000. Then the board just said, okay, now we got to pay this $250,000. How do we keep some of that money in Lorain County? What is it going to leave Lorain County? We're going to give it to the EPA. It's out of Lorain County. So you sent your only poor county administrator up against the OEPA again, and we went out there, and you guys asked that some of that money be spent in Lorain County. And I'm also pleased to inform you that $100,000 of the $250,000 will be placed into an escrow account here to be used to mitigate problems with the Black River watershed. And to provide various support activities for the Blackwater RAP. So that'll be for 4 years in an escrow account, and they'll have 4 years to work with the EPA on various plans. And I think a lot of that will be used down to the mouth of the river, down by Lorain's wastewater treatment facility down there. But it can be used for many other mitigating measures. $25,000 of the money will be placed in an escrow account for the Ohio initiative with converting buses to biodiesel, which will benefit Lorain County also. $100,000 will be paid, $125,000 will be paid directly to the EPA. Now, let me make sure I got my numbers right here.
That's right.
You do.
Directly to the EPA. So once again, we were able to reach a 50-50 balance and make sure that some of the money, a good portion, 50% of it here, had direct impact on Lorain County. I would say that going from $1 million to $1.5 million down to only $125,000 leaving Lorain County. I think we all did a very good job, and clearly these were issues that, that were out of the control of most of the board members and were not supported by the third. So I think we got very good resolution here, and I think the board has done a great job for Lorain County.
Thank you.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under Community Development, instruct clerk to advertise for bids for the ADA restroom additions, East Carlisle Building. Estimated cost is $28,000. Notice to be published in the Chronicle Telegram on February 4th and 11th. Mandatory pre-bid meeting will be held at 9 a.m. on February 14th at the site, and bids to be open at 2 p.m. on February 21st in the Commissioners' hearing room.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under Transit, authorize various filing of applications with ODOT for FY08 Transportation Assistance Grants to include Ohio Elderly and Disabled Transit Fare Assistance Program, Ohio Public Transportation Grant Program, and Discretionary Urban Capital Program. Authorize County Administrator to furnish such additional documents as ODOT may require.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under the engineer, instruct the clerk to advertise for bids for the Vermillion Road Outfall Sewer Fireman School. Notice to be in the Morning Journal on February 1st and 8th, and bids to be open at 2 p.m. on February 15th in the Commissioners' back conference room. Estimated project cost is $90,000, of which 20% will be paid with MVGT funds, and balance to be paid by the Firelands Local School District.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under the prosecutor is authorized the continuance of a grant with the Office of Criminal Justice for the Victim Witness Program, administered through the Lorain County Prosecutor's Office. Said grant is effective retroactive January 1st, 2008 through December 31st, 2008 to receive $51,192 to pay salary and benefits for one full-time employee and portion of the second employee with no cash match. Designate Mr. Corey, Lorain County Prosecutor's Chief of Staff, to execute the necessary reports and documentation relating to said grant.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Authorized transfer, sale, and execution of quitclaim deed by court order for drug forfeited property at 214 East 28th Street, Lorain, sold by public auction to Howard S. and Ada M. Washington.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Cortez, County Administrator?
Thank you. I don't have any further updates to my request for the executive session. One thing, though, Commissioners, you read, I'm assuming you read in the paper, the National Bronze issues were approved at the state. It's something that your economic development team's been working on very closely, and that you have been very well involved with for about 2 years, trying to expand the jobs out there. And I know the state likes to do their own press releases, but you guys have been working on this, and I would like Bill just to give the public a little update of where we're at with National Bronze, because I want them to understand that it's the Lorain County Board of Commissioners that are really working this project very hard with this company, and I want you to get your fair share of credit on that. Bill, would you?
Mr. Ulick?
Thank you, Mr. Cortez, Commissioners. This past Monday, I traveled to Columbus to the Ohio Department of Development for 2 hearings. One was the incentive financing hearing, and the other was the Job Creation Tax Credits Authority hearing. The president of National Bronze, Michael Greathead, and I went before both those committees, and I'm pleased to announce that all of his public financing is now in place and approved based on those 2 hearings. With the addition of the local support that we've given through not only the tax abatement, but also the financing from the Port Authority and the Industrial Revenue Development Bond, his project is now pretty much ready to go. The legal certifications have been signed, so Mr. Greathead was actually meeting after the meeting in Columbus that same afternoon with a local contractor to discuss his building addition plans. The Ohio Department of Development accepted the application in full. 32 new jobs will be created as a result of this project, and 40 existing jobs will be retained. And as you know, we're in competition with several other states, Houston, Texas being the primary alternative site for the expansion project. So groundbreaking should take place sometime this spring, and hopefully those jobs will be on board within the next year.
That's
Good news.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks,
Good
Bill.
job.
Well, it's a good way to start the years, Commissioner, because we have a heck of a lot to do to beat last year. So I just want to make sure that you know, people out there understand that your team is out here making this happen because you provide us the resources to do that. So we're starting to count, but I'm not going to make any predictions on how many jobs we're going to get this year because we just had such a fantastic year last year. But it's a good start. That's all my
And
comments.
they're
this
good
morning.
paying jobs, too.
Yes, ma'am. They're very good paying jobs. I forgot to point that out. Some of them are very close to six figures.
Right.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Mr. Ennis, Assistant County Prosecutor.
Commissioners, I just need to update you regarding a couple of pending litigation matters in executive session.
Commissioners report.
I
Commissioner
have
Lorain?
I have
No
no
report?
report today.
Ted?
Well, last Thursday, the Board of Commissioners, all three of us actually attended the Chamber of Commerce annual meeting. It was nice to see what they've been going forward on. Talked a lot about Lorain County Growth Partnership and where the board has continued to fund economic development, even in these difficult times, because without creating jobs, we're not going to get anywhere in this county. Also had an opportunity Monday morning, Cheryl Atkinson, the new superintendent of Lorain City Schools, invited me along with another 40 people from the community to discuss the new direction of city schools. As I said before, Cheryl Atkinson is a gem. She seems to be working very hard. She's becoming part of the community. She's doing a very nice job, so I look to continue to participate in those community meetings. And that's the end of my report. You can talk about the other day, Commissioner.
Oh, thanks. For anyone who's interested, there are absentee ballot applications in the lower level on the rack as you come in, and there